Hey guys, Colby here. Welcome back to the channel. We've got your raid guides and infographics on this channel. So definitely subscribe if you want to see more and you find these guides interesting. For sure, me and other creators are putting in a lot of work to cover as many champions as possible to give you guys the best guides that we can. Here today, we're focusing on one of the favorites of mine in terms of champions, and for sure the favorite uncommon. I use this guy in a lot of my videos, and you definitely know it from my main channel. But Armiger is an MVP in turn meter control. If you're looking for the infographic which I showcase on the thumbnail, then here it is. That is the infographic for Armiger. But if you want to see more, stay here and let's watch this showcase for Armiger. I do have him built here today with a relentless set. Do not look at the stone skin there. That's not intended as a requirement for Armiger, but I would say that relentless is the best set for Armiger. If you can give him that set, it really makes him shine even more as an uncommon champion. Why would you use an uncommon champion? Well, there's only 2 skills, so it's going to be very quick in terms of his skill set. Let's have a look at his A2 first. It's a single target attack with a 2-turn cooldown, doing enemy max HP, one of the few champions in the game that does enemy max HP in terms of damage. And then enemies killed by this skill cannot be revived. Just think about that. It's a block revive skill on a 2-turn cooldown that can also do damage based on enemy max health, and also bases its damage on Armiger's defense, which makes him a even tankier champion. This is just an amazing skill. And not only that, Armiger has an A1, which makes him a specialist in turn meter control. What does that mean? It means you stop the enemies from taking a turn. You won't see Armiger in the arena, but what you will see is Armiger in multiple different team scenarios where turn meter control is required. And when turn meter control is not limited, right? And I'm talking about specific bosses which say specifically turn meter cannot be manipulated, then Armiger will shine in all the other bosses where turn meter can be controlled. It's a 30% reduction in turn meter if this attack is critical. So what do you do with Armiger? You make sure you get him to 100% crit. If you're going to be facing a specific situation where you know it's only force affinity enemies, then you can drop down to 85%, where the extra 15% will come in from your bonus affinity advantage. Okay, if not, then go with the 100% and you'll be safe. As you can see here, I have him with one of the easiest builds to make for any account out there. He is a universal account changer. I would say that even, accounts with full legendaries, right? Just imagine that accounts with 200 legendaries, you'll see at least one Armiger leveled up at one point or another because of how useful Armiger can be. And he has not been touched by the Plarium nerf bat. So have no worries about that and feel confident when you're leveling one up, because you'll find a lot of usefulness out of him. Remember, you can use an Armiger at level 50, at level 60. So it doesn't really matter if you want to put in a lot of resources. It does matter though at the beginning, because you want to get that 100% crit rate and then the accuracy requirement in order to get that turn meter control down. You don't need the accuracy if you're going to go with just damage to his enemy max HP skill, but you will need it if you want to manipulate the turn meter of the enemies. That being said, I didn't build him too crazy for this video showcase, just because I wanted to show how an uncommon can still work with these stats, which are the most important ones, like 190 or so speed. That really makes him shine for where I used Armiger at the beginning of my journey, which was the spider, and then more and more areas popped up where Armiger was very useful. Relentless, of course, if you're looking for more crit damage, then you can try and get it through the gloves. That is not a requirement. You can go for crit rate on the gloves. You can go for crit rate in the substats if you can, okay? And then you can focus on crit damage on the main stat for the gloves. Defense percent really is good for him. On the chest piece, of course, speed boots is a requirement. And if you're missing a lot of accuracy that you cannot get from your substats, then try and get a banner with an accuracy main stat in order to reach the point where I mentioned above 230 or so accuracy. But remember, accuracy will really depend on where you want to use your Armiger. If you want to use him for Doom Tower, There are teams that use Armiger for the Doom Tower, but those require much more accuracy, and I would say 350 would be the next requirement, and speeds would be even higher than that. So it really depends on the content that you want to be doing. In terms of masteries, there's many different mastery builds that you can do. This one, I would say, is more of a specific mastery build for doing a lot of damage with your A2 skill. A more universal mastery build would be something like this. This mastery build right here really focuses on having Armiger with War Master in order to enable him to do that enemy max health damage in terms of what kind of enemy that you're hitting. But if you're hitting bosses, then War Master is the way to go, especially with Armiger focused on a lot of speed and a lot of accuracy in order to control Terminator and all that. The support tree really helps in getting you that accuracy a little bit higher and also giving you those extra stats where needed. So have that in mind, that the support tree is an obvious way to go instead of the defense route. But the defense route and offense route, as I've shown right here, that is mostly when you're doing a high damage build, but you can still do the showcase even with this build. Let's carry on with the actual showcase. So let's have a look at Armiger and see his actual usefulness. Of course, this will be just a showcase of his A1 and A2 for now, but then I'll showcase some potential that you can use for Armiger. And of course, there's tons of videos on specific strategies that you can dive into after you've seen this showcase. All right, so let's go into just one floor of the Doom Tower where usually Terminator control is required, but the most important part where you'll see Armiger shine, I would say, would be on bosses where it's a single target. Here where there are multiple targets, I would say Armiger is not so oftenly used. So let's just boost him up a little bit so we can get his turn in and see on how you use him. And the turn meter bars here are over 50%. So when Armiger hits now, he'll reduce it by actually 30%, which is insane in terms of how much control you can have against your enemy. So boom, he hits him there, and now we get an extra turn, which is perfect because now I can either go again and eliminate fully this champion's turn meter, just locking him out of the equation basically until we might get another turn in the future, or we could go his A2 skill. So if the target was low enough, we could go in and try and get a block revive in because of Armiger's A2 skill laid to rest. So let's just see that in terms of damage. We get another turn, which is why Relentless is so good. And then I'll hit a different enemy. We had 3 turns in a row, and look at how much Terminator we controlled to this champion here and this champion here just because of Armiger and the set that he had equipped. So let's get out of here because this is not an obvious showcase, and let's go and just see what kind of teams you can actually use for different parts of the game. And what is the best way to showcase Armiger? With showcasing my 4 Armigers that I actually have on my account. I've got 2 level 50s and 2 level 60s. You might know already on my previous showcases on my main channel. But yeah, Armiger is an MVP for the spider. We're going into spider 20. 20 to 25, you can manipulate turn meter. 25, you actually manipulate half of it. But 20 is the ideal place if you want to do a strategy like this one for the spider. I wouldn't recommend this one specifically because it does take a lot of time and it's not a good farming method. But if you got those pesky arbiter missions, then this is the way to go, honestly, if you want to just get them done. All right, so let's go in there and I'll show you what Armiger really does, and then maybe you can think of strategies of your own with Armiger or maybe some other allies which can make this go even better. All right, so what is going to happen now? So this is the big spider, right? We're getting a turn before the big spider because of our speed. You need 191 speed to go before the big spider. So either turn meter control or damage is what you want to do. So why I have 4 Armigers is to have complete control over the boss, okay? And that's what we want to have for today. So we'll keep on doing our A1 skill, although we'll get resisted sometimes. It really depends on your I think this one was built, this left one was built for damage. That's why I got resisted. So this one shouldn't be resisted. There we go. This is the relentless one. And then we go again and look at that turn meter, absolute control. So what I can do with the level 50s, well, I can either go for more turn meter control or just go with the A2, which does damage based on enemy max health. Look at that, the level 50s putting in some work there. But because of UDK, they receive no damage, and UDK barely receives any damage on his own. All right, so we try to get the A1. We get the Terminator control there. You see the Terminator a little bit higher than we want to. It's totally fine, but the absolute Terminator control beast that is Armiger is just doing a lot of work here. And let's see that 200% crit damage that I had, 3 point something thousand amount of defense. Here it is. Let's see that A2 with also Helm Smasher on this specific build. So no War Master, but War Master would be ideal, as I explained before. So let's see. Boom, look at that, 215,000, double on what the level 50s were doing. And the level 50s can go in there and just do a little bit of Terminator control and not let the big spider take a turn at all. I wouldn't recommend this, like this 4 Armigers with just the UDK, because eventually his stone skin will expire. But it is still a pretty solid and fun way to understand on how Armiger can be used in many of these situations. We're talking the spider, then I've used Armiger. I've used Armiger in the Ice Golem. The Fire Knight is a very, very easy way to use Armiger up to maybe level 20. Get some control, but it's not going to be the fastest team available. You'll see Armigers here in the Sand Devils Necropolis here. If we look at the boss guide, the teams of the week, probably see some here. Oh, these were not updated. This is bugged. Yeah, but one of the fastest teams is actually using Armigers in there and can do it in 2.5 minutes or so on the hardest difficulty. But we're talking about end game build kind of teams. And you can actually even use Armiger in a lot of the Doom Tower bosses, but not so much for the clan bosses. So guys, this was the video on Armiger. What do you think about him as a champion overall? Have you ever used him before? Let us know down below in the comments, and of course subscribe if you haven't already. Armiger is one of my favorite champions within Raid Shadow Legends, and rightfully so, because he has absolutely no cost in getting him. He's an uncommon champion that shines throughout the later parts of the game. So thank you all for watching. I'll see you in the next one. See ya.